Gundam Wing, the first Gundam anime to grace the US shores, and being such, holds a ton of nostalgic value in the English-speaking anime community. There are legions of people who hold this title as the most nostalgic Gundam, and I can understand why. This anime melds a lot of ideas that Gundam is known for into one place, while sprinkling in concepts that are unique to it alone. There's the Earth versus Colonies war, but that idea gets expanded way too far later in the story. There's the masked rival to the protagonist who serves as his own anti-hero, and that also gets a little ridiculous thanks to the previously mentioned war expansion. The new things added to the recipe is where the title shines particularly, but let's put that on hold while I give you some context. The years after Colony 195, 5 mysterious objects fall into Earth's atmosphere, gaining the attention of Oz, a faction of the Earth's military who send in one of their best pilots to investigate, Zex Marquis. The objects turn out to be 5 different Gundams sent by 5 different colonies in hopes of destroying Oz, which is the main contributor to the current war. These Gundams are piloted by 5 teenage boys with differing personalities that go from tolerable to downright irritating. You have Hero, who never follows through with any of his arbitrary death threats, Duo, who is the lovable goofball character that for some reason also fills the role as an arbiter of death, Troa, the edge man himself, Wu Fei, who gets the least amount of screen time, but for some reason, a lot of character development. Contrary to public opinion, I find him to be one of the more enjoyable people who plague the show. And last but not least, my favorite of the group, Quatre. He's the most kind-hearted of the bunch, and seeing him deal with loss and tragedy feels the most genuine. And over here in the Oz corner, we have the enigmatic leader, Treze, who is cool, calculating, and honorable. Zex, or Miliardo Peacecraft, the heir to the dead kingdom that advocated total pacifism. There are other characters, but they are more like tag-alongs that don't stand on their own, sadly. Then in the middle of all this, we have Relina, who is also the heir to the Peacecraft kingdom, who also desires total pacifism, and with this concept is where Gundam Wing shines its brightest. I don't know if other anime reviewers are politically illiterate or what, because everyone seems to complain unanimously about Relina in her pacifistic ways. This entire anime deals with the idea of what one will do to obtain peace, and total pacifism is one way to try. Throughout the entire series, she never breaks her code. When given the chance to solve things with violence or take revenge, she 100% of the time refuses. This actually makes her a good human being for living by her code and not faltering, which is very noble of her. Another idea dealt in Gundam Wing is drone warfare in a sense. At some point, mobile dolls get introduced, which are completely animated mobile suits that fight on their own. If you take the human element out of war, what does it then become? Is it still war, or is it a game? This concept is quite interesting because you'll have mobile dolls fight soldiers over this ideal. These two ideas alone are what makes Gundam Wing something worth watching, even though the rest of the features are a little shaky. The politics mean the most out of it all, so much so it's actually hard for me to recollect the events of the series. Now for one of the biggest gripes I have, and that is pretty much the entire main cast. Hero. Dude, seriously, some short feeling or emotion outside of either, I'm going to kill you, or my mission was compromised so I must kill myself. Fuck Jesus! He has some subtle development later. Very subtle, as in he performs one action that goes against what he says, just to try and go back on that later. Duo, that for some reason seems like the most bipolar in characterization, and that's taking into account Lady Un, who has a literal split personality. But Duo, damn, he's the silly guy of the group of protagonists. The first thing you see him do is kill needlessly while spouting that everyone who sees him must die. That would make sense if it wasn't totally obvious to the entire world that Gundams were wrecking all of Oz's shiny mobile suits. Troa, he gets the least character development. Even at one point develops backwards thanks to the convenient plot device known as amnesia. Wu Fei is an interesting enough character, especially his personal rivalry he develops with Treze. But honestly, there isn't much outside of that in his character until Endless Waltz. Finally, Quatre, who is a rich boy from a rich family, and he chooses to renounce all of the glitz and glamour for the grit and grime of war for the greater good. Seeing his father's disapproval of him piloting the Gundam Sandrock at least shows Quatre is sacrificing something to be a Gundam pilot, not unlike Wu Fei actually. They both give up something instead of being an edgy orphan loner. Visually, Gundam Wing is standard affair for 1995, especially considering the anime is 49 episodes in length. Well, there's also a lot of stock footage, but not as much as G Gundam, thankfully. The Gundam designs particularly stand out when compared to other Gundams. Also, the character designs do too. Like those eyebrows. Damn! The music is composed by Ko Otani of Shadows of the Colossus fame, and I can say that the soundtrack is good. The themes fit, and although not catchy, work very well with all the events. The opening and closing songs are both good as well. Except you get to listen to the first opening a total of 40 times! That shit drove me a little mad. Yes, I know I can skip the opening, but I feel the opening is an important part to any show, but that is another video for another time. The dub I have nothing against personally. Its age kinda hit me square in the nads, but I like the dub of Pokemon, so I'm a very poor judge of quality, and may be a bit hypocritical. But if you're watching it dubbed, you're missing nothing really, so go ahead. In the end, it feels like Gundam Wing is the least stellar Gundam I've watched to date. I mean, it covers all the checks on the list, but does them not as good as previous titles. But on the other hand, the concepts that are unique to it are good and handled realistically. The characters are standards and sometimes obnoxious, but nowhere near as bad as other YouTubers will try to persuade you. Like they complain about characters switching sides too much, but in all honesty, that happens less frequently than they let on. If you have never seen a Gundam show before, I can finally say this on this channel, give it a try. Gundam fans who choose to ignore Wing, come on, give her a go. It's not as bad as you've been led to believe, just don't go in expecting something exceptional.